Well, I guess, again, the challenges also lie in the responsibility to make decisions, to make professional decisions. And there are so many decisions that need to be made, as every educator knows very well. The EYLF provides some ideas that we'd like people to think about, and to think about where they stand on a number of issues, and then having carefully thought about where they stand to then make their decisions. It provides a framework, and it's not as if it's about anything goes and anything is fine. And we've tried to write it in a way that will really encourage people to think carefully about their practice, and not just to read the document and think, well, that captures what we already do, and so there's no need to engage further with it. One of the things that we did try to do was embed in it some important phrases and important ideas that might be just in a few words. One of the things that we wrote, and we did actually have to work quite hard to keep some of these important ideas in, because as you can imagine, it went through quite a lot of editing. It had to pass through a number of levels of approval. So we had to have a document that on the surface wouldn't seem confrontational or too radical, but we wanted to keep some key ideas in. And one of those key ideas was that early childhood workplaces should be really lively places where people feel able to engage in professional inquiry, lively workplaces, where there were all sorts of discussions about intellectual ideas as well as about the day-to-day decisions that people make. So it gets back to decisions again. There are opportunities and there are challenges associated with decisions.
There are always challenges with something that's new, and the challenges are, you know, sometimes that people see it as all too much and overwhelming, or they see it as something that they just need to look at and then put on the shelf. So there's challenges in that people may not engage with it, or may not engage with it in great depth, or might feel so overwhelmed that they don't know where to start. So I think there's very important roles for resourcing and supporting people to engage with the document, and for people to build networks of practitioners, and to tap into resources and supports, critical friends, communities of learners, so that people are working together, because it's much easier when you work as part of a group and share ideas and concerns and struggles and work together on solutions, I think, rather than trying to do things in isolation.
I don't necessarily see challenges as things that are going to get in the way of great things happening with the early years learning framework. I think the concepts will be challenging in really exciting ways because of the opportunities that they provide to think differently. So concepts becoming, belonging, being are challenges because they ask us to think of who we are, who children are, who communities and families are, and how we can use those concepts and ideas in exciting and innovative ways to think about the work that we do.
The big challenge will be that people will take the document, look at the principles and say, yes, we do that. I think it would be really important that people feel affirmed in their practice, but we also need to see them as being challenged. I think the ideas there do represent cutting edge perspectives, and so we want people to take up the challenges that it offers rather than just confirm that they're already doing it. And I think the big challenge in individual settings will be to take on board the notion of staff working together and taking responsibility.
A lot of challenges associated with the framework. For one, it requires people to kind of stop and step back and take time to not just to read, but I think the framework is the kind of document where the more deeply you look at it and the more you reflect on it, the more there is in it. So time is always an issue. There's a challenge in getting in helping people to focus on the whole document and not privileging the outcomes and saying, well, that's really the heart of it, that's what matters more. We can forget about all that other stuff. Hopefully the document's written so that all of those things are interwoven, the principles and the practices and the belonging, being and becoming and the outcomes are all interwoven, so that in looking at any of them, you're looking at the other things that are important in the document. But it's a real worry if people just say, oh, well, let's go straight to the outcomes and see what we have to do. So that's a challenge. I think there's also another big challenge is that balance between looking at the document and finding evidence that it validates some of the good practices that you engage in, and also finding information or ideas that provoke change. It would be a shame if people just say, well, really it's just a set of words that confirms what we already do. It's no more than good practice. It's no more than what we're already doing. And you know, it's important that there's some of that in it, that it affirms and validates some of the stuff that people are doing, but it also needs to provoke change.